Today's video is sponsored by Sprocket 365. Finally, create a robust knowledge base in SharePoint. For more details, visit them today at sprocket365.com. It's that time again. It's time to check out my top 5 new and cool features in Microsoft 365 as well as Microsoft Entra for admins. Check it out. You know what they say, technology never sleeps, and on today's episode I'm going to check out my top 5 new features in Microsoft 365 and Entra ID. Features that I believe are going to make a real difference to you in your daily operations as well as your career as well. Questions and comments, as always, get those down below, and if you haven't subscribed, come on board. Button that subscribe button and come and join my learning community. And just a quick reminder that I also run a Patreon site, which is premium content. So if you want to get access to full courses, monthly Zoom calls and more, then again, visit the site there. Okay, so I think without any further ado, let's jump in and take a look at my top 5 cool features in Microsoft 365 for this month. Check it out. So first up this week is the news that Microsoft are about to release the organizational message feature, which is going to appear in the settings panel in Microsoft 365. This will give administrators the ability to send chat messages either instantly or schedule them for their users. Now, if you've got users who are using devices that are managed in Intune or even in hybrid mode, you'll be able to take advantage of this feature. So you can either do clear text messages or you'd be able to use some pre-created templates. But either way, it's a welcomed addition, especially after having this feature in Microsoft Windows for so many years. So there you have it, Microsoft Messaging, which is now coming into Microsoft 365. I'm looking forward to that one. So for my number 2, I have to say that it's really growing on me, this. So this is the compliance.microsoft.com, aka Microsoft Purview. And you'll notice here that this is the traditional Microsoft Purview. But just with the flick of a switch up here, you can switch into the new shiny Microsoft Purview here. And I have to admit that I really love this. Okay, so first of all, it will definitely help you get ready for the likes of Microsoft Copilot. So in here, we have a new AI Hub. So the new AI Hub is absolutely awesome at just getting you ready with these various solutions. Now, one of the things about using Copilot, and indeed, here's if I switch over to this tenant here, you can see that Copilot is here, it's ready, and it's ready to go. The problem with this Copilot, of course, though, is that if you don't protect your data, if you don't have any compliance kind of policies set up, then basically there is a very good chance that you will have data leakage. Okay, so whether you're in either the various Copilot tools here, or whether you're in the likes of, let's say you come into Microsoft Teams, and of course Copilot is absolutely embedded in every aspect of these applications. So for example, you might have a very, very long conversation with somebody or a group of people, and you just want a very quick summary, and instantly you get a very quick 1-paragraph summary, what was discussed, what's going on. But as I said, if you've not had any kind of compliance kind of rules or policies set up here, there is that real chance that that data could potentially leak out. So to prevent that, what we have is we have within the new Microsoft Purview, we now have the AI Hub. And basically, it's just 4 very simple steps. So essentially, click, 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 and you're basically up and running. And essentially, it will give you guided assistance for AI regulations. And in here, essentially, by clicking, this is essentially data loss prevention policies, as well as information protection. And here, of course, this is where you can protect sensitive data which is referenced in responses. And this, of course, is communications compliance. And I got to be, say this, that, previously you might have looked at these features and think, yeah, okay, it's not really relevant to my organization. But I have to say that this is super, super important here. And you can see that it's created default policies. Now, of course, you can go in and of course, explore these yourselves. But also, in addition, you've got things like the Activity Explorer as well. So you can see if there are any kind of changes in there. But this is the new Microsoft portal, and I have to say, I really like it. So in the old Microsoft portal, you had to go down into each of the various solutions, and within those solutions you had settings, and just quite a few of the settings were actually spread around multiple different potential tools or even portals. Whereas now in the new Microsoft portal, so simple things like you've got a data catalog here, and the data catalog looks at not just what's in Microsoft Azure, but also in any of your third-party products as well. So it actually connects to third-party tools as well as Microsoft 365. So you can not just see the health of your data, but also the what products you're using, the management, who's sharing your data, where that data is. This is just an absolutely superb set of tools. And the other thing I like about this portal is all the settings are in a single place. So all your roles and scopes, your admin roles, you've got data connectors here, and literally you can connect Purview to hundreds of different data sources. So from on-premises systems, Salesforce, ServiceNow, various HR systems, and there's loads of different connectors there that you can do that. And also, I mentioned hybrid earlier. If you are in a hybrid environment, it's important that information protection can see your data. So irrespective of where those devices are, so you can onboard the agents here, and they will essentially do a search for potentially sensitive data. And on top of that, you've also got the various settings for each of the various solutions here. Now, also the other thing that I will say is that the number of solutions have actually they've become more refined. So, for example, if I go into, let's say data loss prevention policies here, and if I come down to policies, well, first of all, each of the solutions, you can see it's giving you really nice, clear, defined breakdowns of what's out there. So am I, do I have any activities? Have I applied any labels or classifications recently? And this is absolutely fantastic. The other thing that we have here as well is that we've got the explorers all in a single pane. So again, we have a new feature here for this version of Purview called the Data Explorer. So before, you would have used this Content Explorer, and you might be familiar with this. So if I come into the Content Explorer, of course, I could go through, one of the things about compliance is you need to know where your sensitive data is. So again, I've got 365 full names. You might have, what medical terms, US physical addresses, credit card numbers. This is all PII, personally identifiable information. Now, before, you could just go in here and it would just, it would kind of show you, we've got 16 occurrences in Exchange, 24 occurrences in SharePoint and so on. But with the Data Explorer, now you're on steroids with this puppy, I got to tell you. So here you get something similar. You get a similar experience. Now includes Copilot. So it looks at, for example, full names. Who's searching for sensitive information in Copilot? Where is it stored? And again, you can see here that we've got the same categories again. So physical addresses, credit card numbers, you've got sensitivity labels, retention, and you can see it's not just these, it's all the sensitive information types. This is absolutely fantastic. More than that, check this out. I can actually see full names and physical addresses, so it's showing me how many. So in other words, it's spotted 81 occurrences in Microsoft Exchange. So I want to know more details about that. So I can click into this and find out more. So what it will do is it will now categorize those information types. More than that, it shows me in which accounts these are. And more than that, I can click into those and actually see those occurrences. So it's showing me the actual emails here, and I can even preview this as well. So I can actually see the email with that sensitive information, or I will in a moment anyway. There you go. So you can see, first of all, it's showing me the data here, is showing me the actual source, and then it will show me the details, for example, where that document is, or who's accessed it, what kind of PII is in there. I got to tell you, this Data Explorer is absolutely fantastic. Of course, you've got the other tool as well, which is the Activity Explorer as well. And this shows you a nice overview of whenever labels are added or changed or anything like that. So this is a fantastic tool. Other than that, it's just little subtle things like this. Now, in the future, I'm actually going to do a dedicated session on this. But I got to tell you, you got to check out the new Microsoft Purview portal. There's some really nice things in here, and as I say, I'm going to do a dedicated session on this in the not too distant future. So there you have it, the new shiny Microsoft Purview portal. So it would appear that Microsoft really want you to get excited about Copilot, and here is the details here. So in the new Microsoft 365 Admin Center Hub, you'll notice that we now have a new dedicated Copilot hub that contains absolutely every kind of resource that you could ever wish. So resources for admins, all the documentation, data governance. You've got the adoption hub here. There's also the success kit. You've got Copilot, the roadmap, so where it's going. Also shows you how to connect to third-party connectors as well. So again, you can extend your, for example, your Copilot governance if you're connecting to third-party sources. So this is a fantastic resource. Now, on the subject of changes, I have to say that one of the big changes coming very shortly is licensing. So in Microsoft Entra ID, typically you could have come in here, created a user account and licensed that user. Well, from the middle of September, this will no longer be available, and the only place that you can assign licenses is going to be in Microsoft 365 as well as PowerShell, the various PowerShell modules as well. So just to say that the account here, again, you're going to be able to come into here and essentially you're going to do all your licensing management from within Microsoft 365. So that's going to be one of the big changes coming very soon. Okay, so for my number 4, I'm coming into the protection node in Entra ID, and I'm going to come into conditional access. Now, first of all, you'll notice that we have a number of changes here. If I go into the policies node here, you'll notice that the multi-factor authentication for Microsoft partners and vendors is now on by default. Also, this month, Microsoft are enforcing MFA for all admin portals. So I'm sure you've noticed the notifications popping up there. In addition, we've also got some new features in the policies. So in this demo, I'm going to go ahead and create my Oslo policy because I'm in Oslo as usual. And I'm going to say this is for specific users and groups. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, let's do some users and groups here. And I'll just say, we'll call it sales. Okay. So I'm going to go into the sales team. I'm going to create a policy for these guys here. So then I'm going to come to target resources. And again, with target resources, it's exactly what do you want to monitor. Now, if you have been paying attention, of course, Microsoft's SSE, Secure Service Edge, or Global Secure Access is now in public preview, so definitely check out that. You can also monitor or set policies, of course, for user actions. For this demo, though, I'm just going to use Cloud Apps. Now, depending on whether you choose all Cloud Apps or specific apps, so for example, if you choose specific apps, you can obviously put a filter in here, or you can just simply select these apps. And by selecting things like, admin portals, so you can select an admin portal, or even having your users coming in on Office 365. So users who come in using the Office 365 portal, I'll actually go ahead and select that. Then you can specify with various network settings here. Do you want to, for example, can they access that portal in any location or only trusted locations? Okay, so again, you might want to set that up depending on how sensitive your data is. Again, conditions. You've also got things like identity protection. So of course, identity protection is a P2 license, whereas conditional access rather is just a P1 license. So in here, I can say, yeah, I've created, for example, policies in identity protection for both sign-in risk and also my user risk policies. We also have a new feature here as well. So if you have created an insider risk policy, this just provides a little bit more kind of detail. So for example, controlled access for users who are assigned specific risk levels from adaptive protection policies with insider risk management. So I can simply say, okay, if a user has been elevated, now that might be, for example, the user is performing some very risky actions and you want to be notified. So you could force that user to kind of re-authenticate, if you will. So I really like this feature. So that's the new insider risk management. Again, you've got locations here as well. So for example, I might want to exclude those trusted locations because they're already in a trusted location, for example. Again, you can see here that depending on which policy that you choose, so for example, I've chosen the Microsoft 365 portal there. So that's the condition, and I'm going to grant, and I'm going to say, do you want to grant access or block access? And you can grant access. Do I require multi-factor authentication? Or again, here the recommendation, rather than just regular multi-factor authentication, you might want to actually go with an authentication strength. So this is where, for example, you might have created an authentication strength that requires not simply multi-factor authentication, but perhaps phishing-resistant credentials here as well. Require the device to be marked as compliant. So again, nothing really new here. This is what we've kind of had these changes already. So again, I'm going to save that. And now we can actually control the session. So with the session, you can create, if you've got various apps that you're deploying in Intune, you might deploy things like app enforced restrictions. For example, you don't want users to cut, copy and paste, take screenshots and things like that. Because we're using a single app in a single browser, you might want to, for example, if you're in a bank, force re-authentication. And the other thing that we've got here is continuous access evaluation, or CAE. So if there's any changes in the security of a user, anything that doesn't look quite right, it doesn't log the user out, but it will enforce a re-authentication. You've also got things like token protection as well. Now, this doesn't work with multiple apps, but you can see token protection essentially prevents token replay. This is a great feature, by the way. And again, this is now in public preview as well. Again, I'm not using global secure access at the moment, so that's the reason why that's grayed out. So when you're ready to accept the policy, you can switch it on, you can switch it off, or you can put it in reporting only mode as well. And I really like that actually, because it gives you 90 days. So you've got 90 days to test the policy out. Absolutely brilliant, really, really useful. Now, the other thing that I've noticed as well is in conditional access, we actually have a new what if feature as well. So the new what if feature gives you a lot more detail, and you can actually say, what if this particular user is using this app in this location? And just the reporting experience here is considerably better. So that's the new conditional access in Microsoft 365. Finally, in identity protection, we talked about that elevations. I've mentioned this previously, so it's just a quick one anyway. Go into settings in identity protection and just make sure allow on-premises password change to reset the user risk. So what that means is if you have got hybrid mode and you've got password write back, if a malicious user was able to change their kind of cloud password, it would also write back on premises as well. And of course, that's an increase in risk, because that's ultimately where hackers can potentially get in. So this will perform some kind of risk elevation here. So there you go, just a few really kind of top tips there. So for my number 5, just a few last minute nuggets, just to mention that the RBAC roles in Microsoft 365 for administrators, I'm sure you're very familiar with them. These are now starting to get chopped up and divided and separated. So things that you might have been able to do, for example, in terms of security and compliance, you're going to now need to have separate roles for those. And that is really to meet Microsoft's compliance and governance requirements. The other piece of news this month, of course, is the admin portals. So from September, all administration portals will have to have multi-factor authentication. And this is just the start, the major transition away from usernames and passwords. So expect more restrictions coming. And finally, just to mention that Microsoft Ignite is going to be in November this year. It's going to be in Chicago, and tickets will go on sale at mid-September. So we're looking forward to that. I'm going to be attending Microsoft Ignite. I'm going to be there on the Thursday. The reason I can't be there for the entire week is because I'm speaking at Tech Mentor Live 360 Monday through Wednesday in Orlando. I know, miserable me, huh? Anyway, there you have it. That's all the news for this week. I really hope that you've enjoyed the episode. Give me a big thumbs up if you have, and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you on board. As always, comments and questions, get those down below, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy, and while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button, and you won't miss out.